Their mission? To end the Ukraine war once and for all, by dividing the country among themselves.
The ports would go to India, a new maritime power hungry for influence.
Russia would dominate the eastern regions, consolidating its grip on the Donbass and beyond.
Energy fields, oil, gas, and minerals would be controlled by the United States.
France and China secured key agricultural zones and transport corridors.
Japan eyed new territories in Eastern Europe, sparking whispers of a rising empire. India, now a dominant regional force, prepared to unite its South Asian neighbors under one banner. Meanwhile, the United States set its sights on Canada, quietly deploying troops northward. This marked the dawn of a new era. The world's second great wave of colonization had begun. Japan's ambitions were clear: rebuild the empire, but this time with modern power and precision.
Former territories like Taiwan, parts of Korea, and islands in the Pacific fell under Japanese control.
Japan's military bases expanded, dotted with advanced tech and naval fleets. Meanwhile, India's newfound strength reshaped the South Asian landscape. The long-disputed regions, including parts of Pakistan and Bangladesh, came under Indian administration. India's economy boomed as infrastructure projects connected the subcontinent like never before. Social reforms fueled a new era of innovation and education.
Yet not all neighbors welcomed this expansion peacefully.
Diplomatic talks strained as old rivalries reignited under new colonial ambitions. The world watched nervously. Were these new empires destined to clash once more? The United States quietly took control of Canada, citing security concerns and mutual defense. Canadian cities saw the arrival of U.S. troops, checkpoints, and strict curfews. Resistance groups formed in secret, vowing to reclaim their homeland. Border disputes flared as neighboring countries questioned the new territorial claims. Global powers scrambled to respond, wary of renewed imperial competition. Trade routes shifted. Alliances broke, and new pacts formed in the shadows. Satellite images revealed increased military buildup around contested zones. Propaganda flooded airwaves, painting neighbors as enemies or allies, depending on who controlled the media. Social media cracked under censorship and misinformation campaigns. Meanwhile, ordinary people braced for the uncertain future unfolding before them. Border skirmishes became frequent as military patrols clashed over disputed territories. Economic sanctions and cyber attacks crippled vulnerable nations caught in the crossfire. Refugee crises swelled as families fled conflict zones and political upheaval. International aid struggled to keep pace amid growing instability. New alliances formed between unlikely partners to counterbalance the colonial powers. Meanwhile, technology raced forward. Drones, AI, and cyber warfare reshaping the battlefield. Cities fortified with walls and checkpoints. Citizens living in a constant state of alert. But hope flickered in unexpected places. Grassroots movements demanding peace and cooperation. Voices calling for unity echoed louder, but the world was already changing. The question remained, could humanity learn from its past? Or was history doomed to repeat? Tensions boiled over in the South China Sea, where naval patrols from multiple nations faced off daily. Trade disputes erupted into skirmishes, threatening to cut off vital global supply chains. Cyber warfare crippled infrastructure, plunging cities into darkness and chaos. A small spark in the Middle East ignited broader conflict across multiple continents. Nations raced to secure resources, water, minerals, and energy, fueling the fires of competition. Alliances shifted unpredictably, with old friends becoming foes and vice versa. Public opinion fractured, propaganda campaigns driving wedges within societies. Meanwhile, espionage escalated. Spies and hackers infiltrating governments worldwide. In the shadows, secret deals sealed the fate of nations. The world stood on a knife's edge, unsure whether peace or war would come next. Just when it seemed the world might stabilize, a new crisis erupted. A massive cyber attack on critical infrastructure. Hospitals lost power, communication lines went dark, and panic spread fast. No one claimed responsibility, but fingers pointed to shadowy hacker groups backed by rival states. Meanwhile, energy supplies faltered as pipelines were sabotaged in multiple countries.
Fears grew of a cascading collapse that could plunge entire regions into chaos.
Governments scrambled to respond, but trust was already fraying. Public unrest boiled over as misinformation spread like wildfire.
In the midst of chaos, old alliances fractured, and new ones were forged in desperation.
The world held its breath. Would this be the spark that ignited a new global war? Or could humanity still find a way back from the brink? Peace talks faltered as mistrust ran too deep. Words failed where weapons spoke louder. Battles erupted in border regions, turning peaceful towns into war zones. Cyber warfare escalated. Power grids, water supplies, and communications became targets. Espionage deepened, with spies infiltrating governments and corporations alike. The global economy teetered on collapse as supply chains snapped and markets crashed. Millions were displaced, caught between warring powers and collapsing systems. Hope seemed distant as the world teetered on the edge of irreversible conflict. But even in the darkest moments, whispers of resistance stirred. The fight for the future wasn't just on battlefields, but in the hearts of millions. And the question remained, would humanity choose destruction or survival? Then, suddenly, a powerful new alliance emerged, one no one saw coming. They vowed to break the cycle of conquest and division, once and for all. But old powers refused to fade quietly. Skirmishes erupted in capitals once thought safe. The world stood at a crossroads, unstable, uncertain, and on fire. In this new era, survival meant adaptation, fast, ruthless, and relentless. Every decision carried weight, the future balanced on a knife's edge. And then, without warning, the next chapter was about to begin. But what it held, nobody knew.